Hi friends, I'm Jen, the other half of Two Sister Bees. If you are here because you are searching for ways to hold on to your cash, stick to finally paying off that debt, and getting your family on board with it all, hit like and subscribe, and let's make that time now. Not next year or next paycheck, right now. My sister April kicked off our channel with her very easy to follow how to budget step-by-step video. If you missed it and you haven't written out your basic monthly expenses, make sure to do that with her first. She will walk you through how to get organized and get this process started. Keep in mind, it doesn't matter if you make $500 or $5,000 each pay period. If our paycheck is cashed or deposited and we have no plan for where our money should be going, guess what? We will continue to be living paycheck to paycheck, borrowing money, swiping those credit cards that we can barely make the minimum payments on. This can feel almost impossible to escape. Notice I said almost. Okay, first I want you to have your goal in mind, because none of this matters if you don't have your why. Write it down, post it up, carry it around in your pocket, look at it throughout the day, stick it to your forehead, whatever it takes, because this is what is going to keep you on track. Think of how you will feel when you can say, check, done, I did that. Personally, I have quite a few goals, short and long term, but I want to be specific with this first goal because none of the others will happen if I don't keep focus on just one at a time. Yes, this girl can get sidetracked. I will be talking more in next week's video about our goals and how to keep them attainable in the beginning to avoid getting discouraged and giving up. Until then, just think about it. What is the short-term goal that will inevitably get you to your rainbow? Okay, so now that I have everybody thinking about their less stressed future self, let's put this on paper and get started. So my budget begins with using how April helped us in video number 1 with setting up the budget template. I followed along with her and I added my basic expenses that we all have, like mortgage or rent, utilities, vehicle payments, etc. As you can see, I have other large expenses that I had to add, such as RV payments, a loan payment, life insurance, a pool guy, a lawn guy, a pest guy, so many guys. So this is where I'm going to ask you to dig a little bit deeper. I actually realized that I had to start another list of expenses. These are more of a varying nature, bills that we can control somewhat and most likely have the ability to reduce or eliminate altogether. If you are using Instacart, DoorDash, Uber Eats, this is your second list. If you stop at the convenience store, coffee shops, or a drive-thru, hello, list number 2. If you depend on Amazon to deliver your every heart's desire, you are one of us. Do you like to smoke, have a drink, or a glass of wine? Write it down. Does your lash girl know your kids' names? Does your nail lady ask you how your vacation in Cabo went? Okay, let's just admit it. We are members of the list number 2 crew. And can anyone blame us? When Instacart has that instant pop-up after placing your order that says, you saved 500 hours of your life this year by using Instacart, we actually believe it. But what we aren't realizing in that moment is that while Instacart is convenient, we aren't really saving any hours of our day. I started to think, okay, maybe I saved an hour just now by not physically going to the store. However, I paid more money per item and the tip and all the fees. Now I have to work an extra 3 hours at my job just to break even. So no Instacart, no life hours saved. These are the things that get us into trouble and will bog our budget down. The wonderful and comfortable stuff that makes life worth living can end up making life much more troublesome. These are the harmless everyday card swipes that we justify by saying, I deserve it. I have to have it. Hey, I agree, I get it. You're preaching to the choir, sis. Still, no matter how much we deserve them, these expenses have to be listed separately. Don't give up on this part. It's time consuming. Take a break. Do it over a few days if you have to. It will be worth it. I have to admit, getting an accurate to the dollar amount on these categories was almost impossible for me. There were so many of them that I couldn't possibly remember what every Amazon purchase was or what I bought at Macy's that day. Here's where we do our best. Believe me, your head will still explode. Okay, so this is how you get your list number 2 going. The first thing I did was I printed out all of my bank statements for the last 3 months. I used November, December, and January. I also printed out all of my credit card statements that I know I have used over the last 3 months as well. Then I used a highlighter or anything you prefer, and I started to categorize each one. I had DoorDash, I had groceries, I had gas, I had fast food. My husband stops at the stores every day, so I wrote his in a separate category. So just categorize them however it makes sense to you. Your categories will be your own. If you see some things that really were a one-time purchase or something that you're not sure about, maybe start a side list and see how that side list looks when you're done. You might realize this is a whole other category you need to work on, and maybe start planning better for similar purchases by saving for them instead. Add them up and account for them in an appropriate category to the best of your ability. I wanted to show you some of my actual doodles that I started to do when I was trying to get my list number 2 together. It's just a mess, but it ended up being good enough for me to realize how much I was actually spending. And my list number 2 that I showed you before is actually where I want my numbers to be. My groceries here are $800 a month. This is hopeful. When I added all of our DoorDash, grocery trips, Instacart, it came up to over $3,000 for the month. So this is where I spoke about things being variable and you have control. So after I had that actual number of over $3,000 just for food consumption with a family of 3, let's just say I needed some time to zen. And I'm sure you will too. Just sit and think about it. Ask yourself, how did these charges creep up on me without noticing? But in the end, you did your number 2 budget plan. You've got the full picture, and now you know that you need to work on it. So in my next video, I will be back to talk about what I did immediately to start changing the habits that are killing my bottom line, what I'm willing to cut out, and what I'm not. I hope this inspired you to take your budget planning a step further and be accountable for your true spending habits. See you next week with some solutions. Hit the notification button so you will be alerted to our next video. Bye, friends.